I never thought I'd become invisible. But that's exactly what happened the moment I put on this orange vest. My name is Marcus Washington, 58 years old, $3 billion in the bank. And for the last 3 months, I've been pushing a trash cart through the streets of Manhattan. Nobody knows who I am. Nobody even looks at me. To them, I'm just another street cleaner, another ghost in the city. But I hear everything. Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, welcome to the family. We tell stories that hit home, stories about real people facing real struggles and finding their power. Drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from. And if you haven't already, consider hitting that subscribe button. You won't regret it. Marcus stood in his closet. Rows of designer suits lined the walls. Each one cost more than most people made in a month. He reached past them all. His hand landed on the orange vest. The dirty work boots sat beside it. His assistant Kevin walked in and froze. "Sir, what are you doing?" Marcus pulled the vest over his head. "Going to work." Kevin stared at him. "Mr. Washington, you can't be serious. You're the CEO of—" "I know who I am, Kevin." Marcus sat down to lace the boots. "But they don't. And that's exactly the point." Kevin shook his head. "This is insane. You could buy that building. You could fight them with lawyers." Marcus stood up. He looked at himself in the mirror. The billionaire was gone. In his place stood a street cleaner. "I don't want to fight them with money," Marcus said. "Oh, I want to hear what they say when they think nobody's listening." The streets of the financial district were already busy. Men and women in suits rushed past, their faces buried in phones, their minds on meetings and money. Marcus pushed his trash cart down the sidewalk. He kept his head down, his movements slow and deliberate. A businessman nearly knocked into him. Didn't even look up, just kept walking. Marcus smiled slightly. It was working. He was invisible. A woman in designer heels tossed a coffee cup toward a trash can. She missed. The cup rolled toward Marcus. She didn't stop to pick it up. Didn't even glance at him. Just kept walking like he wasn't there. Marcus bent down and picked up the cup. This was the world he'd left behind 30 years ago. The world where people like him didn't exist to people like her. Except now, he'd chosen to come back. Marcus positioned himself outside Coleman Enterprises. The building was all glass and steel, modern, expensive, a monument to wealth. He'd been here before, twice actually. Once for a charity gala, once for a business dinner. Both times in a tuxedo. Both times people had lined up to shake his hand. Now he stood outside with a broom, and nobody recognized him. Marcus began sweeping the entrance, back and forth, slow and methodical. The morning sun reflected off the glass doors. Inside, he could see the lobby, security guards, receptionist, executives coming and going. He'd been doing this for 3 weeks now. Same spot, same time, waiting. Then the doors opened. David Coleman stepped out. Sharp suit, slicked back hair, that arrogant walk that said he owned everything he touched. A woman walked beside him, Sarah Mitchell. Like the real estate developer, they stopped just 5 feet from Marcus, close enough to touch, close enough to hear every word. Coleman lit a cigarette. "The Riverside project is a gold mine, Sarah." His voice was loud, confident, the voice of a man who'd never been told no. "Those tenants don't know what's coming." Sarah crossed her arms. "When do we start the evictions?" I kept sweeping. My heart pounded, but my hands stayed steady. Every word was landing like a punch. Coleman exhaled smoke. "Next week. We've got Councilman Chen in our pocket." He laughed. Actually laughed. "He'll push the zoning change through. Those low-income apartments become luxury condos worth triple." Sarah nodded. "What about the community pushback? Angela Brooks has been organizing protests." Coleman tossed his cigarette on the ground, right near my feet. Didn't even look at me. "Angela Brooks? Please, she's a nobody." I felt my jaw tighten. Angela wasn't a nobody. Angela had given me my first computer when I was 12. She'd tutored me in math. believed in me when nobody else did. By the time she realizes what's happening, Coleman continued, we'll own the entire block. They kept talking like I wasn't there, like I was furniture, like I was nothing. Rodriguez is cooking the books perfectly, Coleman said. The shell companies are untraceable. Sarah checked her phone. And the community hearing? Scheduled for Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. Coleman smiled. Most of those people work. They won't show up. He straightened his tie. It's perfect, clean, legal on paper. And morally bankrupt, Sarah added with a smirk. Morality doesn't pay the bills, sweetheart. They started walking away, still talking, still laughing. Marcus stood there for a moment. His hand moved to his vest pocket. Inside was a small recording device. He'd pressed record the moment Coleman started talking. Every word was captured, every confession, every crime. He bent down and picked up Coleman's cigarette butt, tossed it in his cart, and then he pulled out his phone and sent a text. Got it all. Marcus walked 6 blocks to a small coffee shop, the kind of place billionaires never went, cheap coffee, plastic chairs. But it was quiet. He sat in a corner booth, still in his cleaner uniform. People glanced at him. Some looked away quickly. Others didn't look at all. He pulled out the recorder and played it back through earbuds. Coleman's voice came through crystal clear. Every word, every plan, every piece of corruption. Marcus closed his eyes and listened. When it finished, he sat there in silence. This was why he'd done it. This was why he'd spent 3 months invisible. Because men like Coleman said things they'd never say in a boardroom. They revealed truths they'd never put in writing. And they did it all in front of people they thought didn't matter. People like me. People they'd convinced themselves were invisible. And his phone buzzed. A text from Kevin. Sir, you're 2 p.m. with the board. Are you coming? Marcus typed back. Cancel it. I have more important work. Marcus opened his laptop. The screen glowed in the dim coffee shop. He pulled up a contact. Lisa Thompson, investigative journalist, 28 years old, sharp, hungry for the truth, and most importantly, honest. Marcus had followed her work for 2 years. She'd exposed corruption in the police department, uncovered fraud in public housing. She didn't care about clicks or fame. She cared about justice. He typed an email. Ms. Thompson, my name is Marcus Washington. I have evidence of fraud, bribery, and illegal eviction plans involving Coleman Enterprises and city officials. If you're interested in the truth, meet me tomorrow at Riverside Coffee. 9 a.m., come alone. I'll be the one in the orange vest. He hit send before he could second-guess himself. This was it, the point of no return. Once Lisa published this story, everything would change. Coleman would know someone had recorded him. Chen would know his bribe was exposed, and Marcus would have to reveal himself. But 200 families would keep their homes. His old neighborhood would survive. Angela would win her fight. He closed the laptop. Tomorrow, everything changes. The next morning came fast. Marcus woke up in his penthouse, but his mind was already on the streets. He showered and dressed in the work clothes. The routine had become familiar now, almost comfortable. Kevin was waiting in the kitchen with coffee. The board called again, Kevin said. They're concerned about your absence. Marcus pulled on the orange vest. Tell them I'm working on something important. They think you're having a breakdown. Marcus smiled. Maybe I am, or maybe I'm finally waking up. He grabbed his cart from the service elevator. The building staff nodded at him now. They thought he was maintenance. Even his own doorman didn't recognize him anymore. The city was just starting to stir when Marcus reached Riverside Coffee. Small place, corner location, windows facing the street. He went inside and ordered black coffee. Sat facing the door. Waited. At exactly 9 a.m., a young woman walked in. Natural hair, blazer over a casual shirt, laptop bag over her shoulder. She scanned the room. Her eyes landed on Marcus. Confusion flickered across her face, then recognition of the orange vest. She walked over slowly. Marcus Washington? Lisa sat down across from him. She studied his face carefully. You're really Marcus Washington, the tech billionaire. I am. And you're dressed like a street cleaner. I am. She set her laptop bag on the table. Your email said you have evidence of corruption. Marcus reached into his vest, pulled out the small recorder, set it between them. David Coleman is planning to illegally evict 200 families from Riverside. The neighborhood? Where I grew up. Yes. Lisa leaned forward. What kind of evidence are we talking about? Marcus pressed play. Coleman's voice filled the space between them, clear as day, talking about bribes, shell companies, manipulated hearings. Lisa's eyes went wide. She grabbed a notebook and started writing. When the recording ended, she sat back. Holy hell. There's more, Marcus said. And he pulled out his phone, showed her photos he'd taken, documents left on benches, text messages displayed on tablets, conversations he'd overheard at City Hall. You've been doing this for how long? 3 months. Lisa shook her head. Why? You could buy the whole building, fight them in court. Because buying the building saves one building, Marcus said. This exposes a system. Lisa closed her notebook. If I publish this, Coleman will come after me with everything. Not if you're protected. Protected how? Marcus took a sip of his coffee. My legal team, my resources, everything I have. Why would you do that? Because 30 years ago I lived in one of those apartments you're trying to save? He paused. Let that sink in. A woman named Angela Brooks tutored me, gave me my first computer, changed my entire life. Lisa's expression softened. And now Coleman's calling her a nobody. Exactly. She tapped her pen on the notebook. This is bigger than real estate fraud. I know. This is about how society treats people it considers invisible. Marcus nodded. People talk freely in front of workers they don't respect. Oh, they reveal everything. And you use that. I used what they gave me. Lisa opened her laptop, started typing. I need to verify some of these claims, cross-reference with public records. Take your time, do it right. She looked up at him. Coleman's going to ask who recorded this. Let him ask. He'll figure out eventually that a street cleaner was listening. Marcus smiled. By then it won't matter, the damage will be done. Lisa saved her work. I need 48 hours, maybe less. I'll be waiting. Marcus left the coffee shop and went back to his route. The streets needed sweeping whether Coleman fell or not. Plus, staying in character kept him invisible. He worked his way toward Riverside. The neighborhood looked different in daylight. Old brick buildings, small corner stores, kids playing in courtyards. This was home once. It could be home again for those families if he succeeded. Marcus swept past the apartment complex. Several residents were outside. An older woman was putting up flyers. Angela Brooks, 50 years old now. Gray streaked through her hair, but her eyes still had that fire, that determination. She was taping a flyer to a light post. Community meeting tonight, it read. Save Riverside. Marcus swept closer. Angela glanced at him. You're doing good work, she said. Thank you. Ma'am. Haven't seen the streets this clean in years. Marcus kept his head down. Just trying to do my job right. Angela studied him for a moment. Something flickered in her eyes. Do I know you? Marcus's heart jumped. I don't think so, ma'am. She tilted her head. You have kind eyes. Remind me of someone. I get that sometimes. She turned back to her flyers. Well, whoever you are, thank you for caring about our neighborhood. Marcus nodded and moved on, but his chest felt tight. Angela had almost recognized him. After 30 years, something in his face was still familiar to her. That evening, Marcus returned to his penthouse. He peeled off the vest and work clothes, stood under a hot shower for 20 minutes. The water washed away the grime, but not the tension. Kevin had left dinner in the kitchen. Grilled salmon, roasted vegetables, the kind of meal that cost more than most people's weekly groceries. Marcus ate standing at the counter, his mind elsewhere. Lisa would be working through the night, verifying facts, building the story. By tomorrow, maybe the next day, it would be ready, and then everything would explode. His phone rang. Unknown number. Marcus almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. "Hello? Mr. Washington." A man's voice. Unfamiliar. "Who is this?" "A friend. Someone who knows what you're doing." Marcus's blood went cold. "I don't know what you're talking about." The street cleaner routine. Very clever, but not clever enough. "Who is this?" The line went silent for a moment. "Let's just say I work for people who don't appreciate being recorded." Click. The line went dead. Marcus stood there, phone still pressed to his ear. Someone knew. Marcus immediately called Kevin. "I need security on Lisa Thompson right now." "Sir, what's happening?" "Someone knows. I don't know how, but they know." Kevin's voice sharpened. "I'll have a team on her within the hour." "Do it quietly. She can't know." "Understood." Marcus ended the call, paced the length of his living room. The anonymous call changed everything. If Coleman's people knew about the recordings, they'd try to stop the story. They'd pressure Lisa, threaten her, maybe worse. He should have anticipated this, should have been more careful. But how did they find out? He'd been so careful with the recordings, never played them anywhere public except that coffee shop. Unless someone had been watching him, following him. Marcus walked to the window, looked down at the street 40 floors below. Cars moved like ants. Oh, people were invisible from this height. Just like he'd been invisible to Coleman. Maybe someone else had learned to see what others missed. His phone buzzed. Text from Lisa. "Working through the night. This is explosive. We'll have something by morning." Marcus typed back. "Be careful. Very careful." She responded with a thumbs-up emoji. That worried him more. She didn't understand how dangerous this was becoming. Marcus didn't sleep. He sat in his office, monitors glowing in the darkness, security feeds from around the city. He'd called in favors, had cameras watching Lisa's apartment, the newspaper office where she worked, the coffee shop where they'd met. Nothing unusual showed up, but Marcus couldn't shake the feeling. At 3 a.m., his private security called. "Sir, we have something." "What?" "Black sedan parked outside Ms. Thompson's building. Been there for 2 hours. 2 occupants. They're watching her window." Marcus stood up. "Can you see their faces?" "Negative. Tinted windows." "Get license plate. Run it." "Already done. Comes back to a shell company. Same type Coleman uses." Marcus grabbed his jacket. "I'm coming down there." "Sir, that's not advisable." "I don't care. Keep eyes on that car." He was out the door in minutes, and the elevator ride down felt endless. His driver was waiting. "Where to, Mr. Washington?" Marcus gave Lisa's address. The car pulled into traffic. The city looked different at night, emptier, more honest somehow. They arrived at Lisa's building 20 minutes later, a modest apartment complex in Brooklyn. Nothing fancy. Working journalist wages. Marcus spotted the black sedan immediately, parked across the street. Engine off, but someone definitely inside. His security team was parked nearby. Marcus called them. "I want them followed when they leave. I want to know who they work for." "Copy that." Marcus watched Lisa's window. 3rd floor. Lights still on. She was awake, working on the story, completely unaware of the car watching her. I should warn her. But if I do, she might get scared, might not publish. These families need this story to come out. Marcus made a decision. He pulled out his phone, texted Kevin, "Double the security. I want people inside her building. Hallway cameras. Everything." "Consider it done." The black sedan's lights suddenly turned on. Marcus tensed, but it didn't move toward the building. Instead, it pulled away from the curb, drove down the street slowly, His security team followed at a distance. Marcus waited until both cars disappeared around the corner. Then he got out, walked to Lisa's building, hit the buzzer for her apartment. "Hello?" Her voice crackled through the intercom. "Lisa, it's Marcus. We need to talk." Lisa buzzed him up. Marcus took the stairs. Old building, paint peeling in places, reminded him of where he grew up. Lisa opened the door before he could knock. Her eyes were red from staring at screens. Coffee cups littered her desk. "What's wrong?" she asked immediately. Marcus stepped inside. "There was a car watching your building." Her face paled. "What?" "My security spotted it. Black sedan. 2 people. They left when I arrived." Lisa walked to her window and looked down. "How did they know?" "I don't know. But they're tracking this somehow." She turned back to him. Papers covered every surface of her small apartment. Printouts, notes, photographs. "I've been cross-referencing everything," she said. "The shell companies Coleman uses, they're connected to 6 other projects across the city." "How many families?" "Over 1,000. All low income, all displaced." Marcus felt anger rising in his chest. "This isn't just Riverside." "It's systematic. Coleman's been doing this for 5 years." She picked up a document. "And Councilman Chen isn't the only official on his payroll. I found 2 more. Names: City Planning Commissioner, Housing Authority Director." Marcus sat down heavily. The corruption went deeper than he'd thought. If you're watching this, take just a minute and hit that subscribe button. These stories take time to build, and your support keeps them coming. Let's continue. Lisa sat down at her laptop. "I need to finish this tonight, before they figure out how to stop it. My security will stay outside. Nobody's getting near you." "Marcus, this is bigger than protecting me." "I know. If we publish this, Coleman doesn't just lose Riverside. He loses everything." Marcus nodded. "That's the point." Lisa started typing again. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. "I'll have the article ready by dawn. My editor can fast-track it for the morning edition." "Online, too?" "Online first. Print follows." Marcus stood. "I should go. Let you work." "Wait." Lisa stopped typing. "Why are you really doing this? And don't say it's just about your old neighborhood." Marcus was quiet for a moment. "When I made my first million, I thought I'd arrived, thought I'd escaped." He looked around her apartment. "But you never really escape where you came from. It stays with you." "So this is guilt?" "No, this is responsibility." Lisa studied his face. "The people Coleman wants to destroy, they're invisible to him. Just numbers on a spreadsheet. And you became invisible to expose him." "I became what he thought I already was. Nothing." "That's powerful. That's survival." Marcus moved toward the door. "Publish it at 6 a.m. That's when people check news before work." "I know how to release a story, Marcus." He smiled. "I know you do. That's why I came to you." Marcus left the building. His car was waiting, but instead of getting in, he walked. The streets were empty at this hour, just a few homeless people sleeping in doorways. A delivery truck making early rounds. Marcus pulled out his phone, called Kevin. "Status on that sedan?" "They led us to a parking garage in Midtown. Private. We couldn't follow inside without being spotted." "Who owns the garage?" "Working on it. Should have an answer by morning." Marcus ended the call. He kept walking. Wasn't ready to go back to the penthouse yet. The city felt different at 4 a.m. More honest. Less pretense. He found himself walking toward Riverside. 45 minutes on foot. But he needed to move. Needed to think. By the time he reached the neighborhood, the sky was starting to lighten. That gray hour before dawn. Marcus stood outside the apartment complex. The building looked tired, but it was home to families who'd lived here for decades. Kids who'd grown up on these streets. Like he had. A light came on in a third-floor window. Someone starting their day early, probably heading to a minimum wage job, working just to keep this apartment they might lose anyway. Marcus felt that familiar anger again. Not hot rage, cold determination. Marcus's phone vibrated. Text from Lisa. Article finished. Sending to editor now. He typed back, "Good work." Another text came through immediately after. "You should read it first. Sending draft." A document appeared. Marcus opened it. The headline hit him like a punch. Coleman Enterprises corruption exposed. How a billionaire went undercover to save his neighborhood. His breath caught. She'd named him. He kept reading. The article was thorough. Every detail documented. The recordings transcribed. The shell companies traced. The officials named. And right there in the third paragraph, Marcus Washington, tech billionaire and Riverside native, spent 3 months disguised as a street cleaner to gather evidence. Marcus called her immediately. "You can't publish my name." Marcus. "Lisa. Hey, this was supposed to be anonymous." "It can't be anonymous anymore. Someone already knows you're involved." "That doesn't mean the whole world needs to." Her voice was firm. "Yes, it does, because the story isn't just about Coleman's corruption." "Then what's it about?" "It's about a billionaire who chose to become invisible to help people who society already treats as invisible." Marcus leaned against a wall. "That's not the story." "That's exactly the story, and it's the one that will actually change things." Marcus closed his eyes. "If you publish my name, Coleman will know who recorded him. He'll figure it out anyway once the story breaks. This isn't about me." "Yes, it is, whether you want it to be or not." Lisa's voice softened slightly. "Marcus, people need to know that someone with power actually gave it up to help them. That's rare. That matters. I didn't give up power. I used it differently." "Exactly. And that's what makes this story important." Marcus was silent. Cars were starting to appear on the street. Early commuters heading to work, the city waking up. "How long until it goes live?" he asked finally. 2 hours. My editor's reviewing it now." "And there's no changing your mind?" "Would you? If you were me?" Marcus almost smiled. "No, I wouldn't." "Then you understand." He did understand. Lisa was right. And the story needed his name, needed his face, needed people to see that someone who'd escaped had come back. "Publish it," Marcus said. "You're sure?" "No. But do it anyway." Lisa exhaled. "Thank you for trusting me." "Thank you for being someone worth trusting." Marcus ended the call. 2 hours. In 2 hours, his life would change forever. Marcus went back to his penthouse. Kevin was already there with fresh coffee. "Sir, the article." "I know. My name's in it." Kevin's face fell. "That's not what we planned." "Plans change." Marcus poured himself coffee. His hands were steady, but his mind was racing. "Call the lawyers. Tell them to be ready." "Ready for what?" "Defamation suits. Harassment. Whatever Coleman throws at us." Kevin pulled out his phone. "And you're bored? They're going to have questions." "Let them ask. I'll answer when I'm ready." Marcus walked to the window. The sun was fully up now. The city spread out below him like a promise. Or a threat. His phone started ringing. Unknown number again. He answered. "Marcus Washington." The same voice from before. "You made a mistake going to that journalist." "Did I?" "We know what you've been doing. We have proof you've been trespassing, illegally recording private conversations." Marcus smiled coldly. "And I have proof of bribery, fraud, and conspiracy. Want to compare notes?" Silence on the other end. "The article publishes in 90 minutes, Marcus continued. "Nothing you do now will stop it." "Mr. Washington, tell Coleman he should have paid attention to the street cleaner." Marcus hung up. At exactly 6 a.m., Lisa's article went live. Marcus watched it happen on his laptop. The headline appeared on the news website. Then the story loaded. His photo was right there, not the billionaire in the expensive suit. The street cleaner, orange vest, push broom, cap pulled low. Lisa had somehow gotten a photo of him working. He didn't even know when she'd taken it. The article began. For 3 months, one of America's wealthiest men disappeared, not to a private island or exclusive resort, but to the streets of Manhattan, disguised as a city worker. Marcus kept reading. Every word was precise, every fact documented. Lisa had done her job perfectly. His phone exploded. Texts, calls, emails. Everyone wanted answers. The board, business partners, old friends, the media. Marcus turned his phone off. Let them wait. Right now, add that he needed to focus on what came next, because this was just the beginning. Within 30 minutes, the story went viral. National news picked it up, then international. Social media exploded. Billionaire goes undercover as street cleaner to expose corruption. The reactions were immediate. Some praised him. Others called it a publicity stunt. Some questioned the legality of his recordings, but the message was spreading. Coleman Enterprises was exposed, their corruption laid bare. Marcus received a call from his head of security. "Sir, there are reporters outside the building." "How many?" 20 and counting." "Let them wait." Marcus made a different call, to Angela Brooks. She answered on the third ring. "Hello?" "Angela, it's Marcus." Silence. "Marcus Washington?" "Yes." "The Marcus Washington from apartment 4B?" "The same." Her voice shook. "I saw the article. I couldn't believe—" "Was that really you? Cleaning our streets?" "It was." "For 3 months?" "Yes." Angela was crying now. "Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you say something?" "Because I needed to hear what they were planning, and I needed to do it right." "You saved us, Marcus. You saved all of us." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "You saved me first, Angela, 30 years ago. I'm just returning the favor." By noon, the SEC had announced an investigation into Coleman Enterprises. The FBI was looking into the bribery allegations. Councilman Chen had resigned. Marcus watched it all unfold on the news. Every channel covered it. Every website ran updates. His phone was still off, but Kevin kept him informed. "The stock market's reacting. Coleman's company lost 30% in 2 hours." "Good. Sir, your board wants an emergency meeting. Tomorrow. They're insisting on today." Marcus turned from the television. "Kevin, I've spent 3 months invisible. They can wait 24 hours. Kevin nodded and left. Marcus sat alone in his office. The weight of what he'd done was settling in. His anonymity was gone. His face was everywhere. But 200 families would keep their homes. Maybe more. And if the investigation spread to Coleman's other projects, thousands could be protected. That was worth the cost. His doorbell rang. Marcus checked the security camera. Lisa stood in the hallway. He buzzed her up. She looked exhausted, but energized. "You shouldn't be here," Marcus said. "The press is everywhere." "I came through the service entrance. Your security helped." She held up her phone. "It's everywhere, Marcus. The story's trending globally." "I saw." Lisa walked to the window, looked down at the reporters gathered outside. "How does it feel? Being visible again?" Marcus considered the question. "Strange, uncomfortable." "Regret it?" "No." Lisa turned back to him. "Coleman's threatening to sue everyone. Me, the newspaper, you. Let him try. Discovery will destroy whatever's left of his company. He's also claiming the recordings are illegal." "They're not. New York's a one-party consent state. I was present for every conversation." Lisa smiled slightly. "You really thought this through?" "I had 3 months to plan." She sat down. "What happens now? For you?" "I face my board, deal with the fallout, try to get back to normal." "Will you?" "Will I what?" "Get back to normal." Marcus was quiet. "I don't know if I want to." "What do you mean?" He stood and walked to the window beside her. "For 3 months, I saw how people really treat each other. The disrespect, The cruelty, the way someone can be invisible just because of what they wear. And I can't unsee it now. Lisa nodded slowly. That's the cost of truth. Once you see it, you can't go back to pretending. They stood there in silence. Below, reporters shouted questions at people entering the building. Cameras flashed. The circus had begun. Marcus's phone buzzed. He'd turned it back on. A text from Kevin. David Coleman is downstairs demanding to see you. Marcus showed Lisa the message. Her eyes widened. You're not going to see him. Actually, I am. Marcus, he needs to see my face. Needs to know exactly who recorded him. Marcus took the elevator down. Not to the lobby, to the underground parking garage. More private. Kevin was waiting with 2 security guards. Sir, I don't think this is wise. Noted. David Coleman stood next to a black Mercedes, the same car that had been outside Lisa's building. 2 large men flanked him. Expensive suits, private security. Coleman's face was red, veins visible in his neck. Marcus walked toward him calmly. Mr. Coleman. You son of a... Careful. We're being recorded. Marcus gestured to the security cameras overhead. Coleman's jaw clenched. You destroyed my company. You destroyed your company. I just documented it. Those recordings are illegal. We both know they're not. Coleman stepped closer. His security tensed. So did Marcus's. You have no idea what you've done, Coleman hissed. I know exactly what I've done. People are going to lose their jobs because of you. People were going to lose their homes because of you. Coleman's face twisted. You think you're some kind of hero? Playing dress-up as a poor person? Marcus didn't flinch. I wasn't playing anything. I was doing the job, actually doing it. For 3 months. Then you went back to your penthouse. That's right. But those families don't get to go anywhere. That's the difference between us. Coleman laughed bitterly. You want to know the truth? Those apartments are falling apart. I was going to rebuild, make something better. By forcing everyone out and tripling the rent. By improving the neighborhood. For who? Not the people who live there now. Coleman shook his head. You don't understand business, Washington. This is how development works. No, this is how greed works, says the billionaire. Marcus felt his anger rising, but kept his voice level. I earned my money by creating something, by building technology that helped people. And I build buildings. You destroy communities and call it progress. Coleman's face darkened. This isn't over. I have lawyers. So do I. Better ones. I have connections. Had connections. Chen resigned. The others are running scared. Coleman pointed a finger at Marcus's chest. You recorded private conversations, invaded privacy. You're not a hero. You're a criminal. Marcus smiled coldly. Then arrest me. I'll enjoy watching you explain to a jury why you were discussing bribing public officials. Coleman's hand dropped. He knew he was beaten. Stay away from my projects, he said finally. All of them. Marcus stepped closer, close enough to whisper. I'm buying the Riverside property. Full price. The family's stay. Rent controlled. Coleman's eyes widened. You can't. I already did. Signed the papers this morning. Coleman turned and walked back to his car. His security followed. The Mercedes peeled out of the garage. Marcus stood there watching until the taillights disappeared. Kevin approached carefully. Sir, are you all right? I'm fine. That was dangerous. He could have done nothing. He's finished. Marcus headed back to the elevator. His hands were shaking slightly. Not from fear, from adrenaline, from the satisfaction of watching Coleman realize he'd lost. The elevator ride up felt longer than the ride down. When the doors opened, Lisa was waiting. Well, it's done. He knows it's over. And the building? I bought it this morning, before the article even published. Lisa's mouth opened. You already owned it? Before any of this went public? I couldn't risk Coleman selling it to someone else once he knew he was exposed. So the families are safe? The families are safe. Lisa threw her arms around him. Marcus stiffened for a moment, then hugged her back. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For trusting me with the story. Thank you for telling it right. They pulled apart. Lisa wiped her eyes. I should go. Let you deal with your board. Lisa, she turned back. What you did, publishing that story knowing the risks, that took real courage. She smiled. So did sweeping sidewalks for 3 months. That evening, Marcus held a press conference. Not in some corporate boardroom, in Riverside, at the community center, the same place Angela had been organizing meetings. Reporters packed the room, cameras everywhere. Angela stood beside Marcus at the podium. Other residents filled the chairs. Marcus looked out at the crowd. This was it. Time to speak publicly about what he'd done. 3 months ago, I came back to the neighborhood where I grew up, he began. Not as Marcus Washington, billionaire, but as Marcus Washington, street cleaner. Cameras flashed. I did this because I heard that families were being threatened, that corrupt officials were planning to destroy this community for profit. He paused. I could have fought them with money, with lawyers, and with all the resources my wealth provides. But I chose a different path. I chose to become invisible, to see the city the way millions of working people see it every day, to experience the disrespect, the dismissal, the way society treats those it considers beneath notice. His voice strengthened. And what I learned is that the people doing the real work, the cleaners, the cooks, the maintenance workers, they see everything. They hear everything. They're only invisible because we choose not to see them. The room was silent. David Coleman and his associates thought I was nothing, thought I didn't matter. They talked freely about their crimes because they believed I was too insignificant to be a threat. They were wrong. Marcus continued. Today, Riverside is safe. The families who live here will keep their homes. The building is now under new ownership, mine, with rent-controlled leases and long-term protections. Applause erupted. People stood. Angela had tears streaming down her face. Marcus waited for quiet. But this isn't just about one building. The investigation into Coleman Enterprises has revealed a pattern of corruption affecting thousands of families across the city. Other properties, other neighborhoods, other people who were told they didn't matter. Well, they do matter. You all matter. He looked directly at the cameras. To anyone watching who's ever been treated as invisible, who's ever been dismissed because of their job or their income or their address, I see you. This city sees you. And you deserve better. The room erupted again. But this time Marcus let them applaud. Let them celebrate. After months of fear, they'd won. A reporter shouted a question. Mr. Washington, what's next for you? Marcus considered. I'm going back to work running my company. But I'm also starting a foundation. What kind of foundation? One that protects tenants' rights. That holds developers accountable. That makes sure what happened here never happens again. Another reporter. Will you continue going undercover? Marcus smiled slightly. I don't think that's possible anymore. My face is a little too recognizable now. Laughter rippled through the room. But I don't need to be invisible to keep fighting. None of us do. The press conference ended. Reporters filed out, but the residents stayed. They wanted to talk to Marcus, to thank him. An elderly woman approached. I've lived here 40 years, raised 3 children in apartment 2C. I thought I'd have to leave. Not anymore, Marcus said. A young father shook his hand. My daughter starts school next month. Same school I went to. Because of you, she still can. One by one they came, each with a story. each with gratitude. Marcus listened to every one. This was why he'd done it. Not for the headlines, not for the recognition. For these moments. For these people. Angela waited until everyone else had spoken. Then she pulled Marcus aside. "You know what I remember most about you as a kid?" she asked. "What?" "You always noticed people. The janitor at school, the lunch lady, the crossing guard. But you saw them when other kids didn't." Marcus felt emotion rising in his chest. "You taught me that. You saw me when nobody else did." Angela hugged him tight. "You turned out exactly right, Marcus. Exactly right." Marcus walked home, not to the penthouse, to the apartment building in Riverside. Apartment 4B. Angela had kept it. All these years, used it as an office for her community organizing. But the space was still there, the same walls he'd grown up inside. Marcus stood in the doorway. The room was smaller than he remembered. One window, radiator that always clanked, linoleum floors worn smooth. This was home once, before the success, before the money, before Marcus Washington became a name people recognized. "You want to see your old room?" Angela asked. She'd followed him. "Is it still there?" "Never changed it." She opened a door. Marcus's breath caught. The room was tiny, maybe 8 feet by 10, a single bed against one wall, a small desk under the window, and there, on the desk, was the computer Angela had given him, ancient now, but it still sat there. "You kept it," Marcus whispered. "Of course I kept it. That computer changed your life." Marcus walked to the desk, ran his fingers over the old keyboard. "I taught myself to code on this." "I know. Built my first program right here." "I remember. You'd stay up all night working on it." Marcus turned to Angela. "Why did you help me, back then?" "Because I saw something in you, potential, intelligence. But more than that, I saw kindness. You had every reason to be angry at the world, but you weren't." She touched his shoulder. "And you still aren't. Even after everything you've accomplished, you came back. That's rare, Marcus." Marcus left Riverside as the sun set. His driver was waiting. The penthouse felt different when he returned. Too big. Too empty. Too far from the ground. Kevin was in the kitchen with dinner. "Your board meeting is set for 9 a.m. tomorrow." "I'll be there." "They're not happy, sir." "They'll get over it." Marcus ate in silence, then went to his office, pulled up news coverage of the story, the footage of the press conference, his words being repeated across every channel. The people doing the real work, they see everything. It had become a quote, a hashtag, a rallying cry. Marcus's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Mr. Washington, I'm a hotel housekeeper in Chicago. I saw your story. Thank you for seeing us." Another text. "I'm a janitor in Atlanta. Been invisible my whole life. Not anymore." Then another. "Construction worker Phoenix. We matter. Thank you for saying it." The messages kept coming, hundreds of them, from people who'd spent their lives being overlooked. Marcus read every one. This was the real impact. Not Coleman's arrest or Chen's resignation. This, people feeling seen, feeling valued, feeling like they mattered. 1 week later, Marcus returned to Coleman Enterprises. Not undercover this time. In a suit, as himself. The building looked the same. Glass and steel, symbol of corporate power. But now it was empty. Coleman had been arrested. His company dissolved. The building was for sale. Marcus met his lawyers in the lobby. "The property goes to auction next month," one said. "I want it." "Sir, I want to buy this building." His lawyers exchanged glances. "May I ask why?" Marcus looked around the empty lobby, remembered standing here in his orange vest, invisible. "Because I'm going to turn it into affordable housing." "The entire building?" "Every floor. Apartments for working families, teachers, nurses, service workers, the people who keep this city running." One lawyer smiled. That's poetic. Sir, that's justice. Marcus walked to where he'd stood that first morning, where Coleman had tossed his cigarette, where everything had started. He could almost see himself there. The street cleaner, the invisible man, the ghost who'd brought down an empire. Make it happen, Marcus told his lawyers. Whatever it costs. They nodded and left. Marcus stood alone in the empty building. The afternoon sun streamed through the glass walls. Outside, the city continued. People rushing, working, living, some visible, some not, but all of them mattering, all of them seen, at least now, at least today. Marcus walked out of the building. No reporters this time. The story had moved on to other news, other scandals. But the impact remained. He passed a street cleaner on the corner. Young guy, orange vest, just like Marcus had worn. Marcus stopped. "Excuse me?" The cleaner looked up, surprised. People rarely spoke to him. "Yes, sir?" "You're doing good work. Thank you." The young man's face changed. Confusion became recognition. "Wait, you're Marcus Washington." "I am." "You were a cleaner, like me. For 3 months. Learned more in those 3 months than in 3 years of business school." The cleaner smiled. "People walk past me all day. Don't even see me." "I know. I remember." Marcus pulled out his wallet, handed the man his card. "If you ever want to do something different, go to school, start a business, whatever, call that number. My foundation will help." The cleaner stared at the card. "Are you serious?" "Completely. You matter. Your work matters. Don't let anyone tell you different." Marcus walked away. Behind him, the cleaner stood holding the card, tears in his eyes. For the first time in his life, someone had seen him, really seen him. Marcus reached his car. Kevin opened the door. "Where to, sir?" Marcus thought about it. The penthouse was waiting, but he wasn't ready to go back yet. "Take me to Riverside," he said. "The apartment?" "The streets. I want to walk." If this story moved you, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment about what you think. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. These stories matter, and you being here matters. Stay connected. More stories coming. Thank you for watching.